Hello everybody and welcome to March's reading vlog. Let's get into it. Doing my compiling of all of my clips at the end of March, and I realized I don't have an intro, and I think it's because at the beginning of the month I was actually reading my thriller vlog and that's already gone up. So if you're interested in the thrillers that I read, you can definitely check that out. In my reading thriller vlog, my thriller arcs, I read The Girl from Widow Hills, Out of Body, The Patient, and a couple others, but they were in, not technically March's, they were in February. So in March though, I read those. I read 2 books on writing. I read Structure, Suspense, and Plot, which I think I have discussed with you. And I read GMC. Let me grab them. They're right here. This bad boy, which is just mastering suspense within a book, which holds true for both like thriller mysteries and also just everyday writing, like regular fiction writing, just to try to keep you compelled to continue to read. I tabbed it up a whole bunch and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely going to be one that I use a lot. The other one that I read that I'm going to be using a lot is this Goal Motivation Conflict by Deborah Dixon. Again, tabbed and utilizing both of these right now as I go through my writing process. I am editing a book to send off for queries, so I'm using Goal Motivation Conflict to help me with some query letter stuff. And then I am starting to brainstorm a mystery thriller, so I'm using both of these to do that as well. So those have come in really handy. I loved both of those. Really glad I finally got around to them. Also read another book on writing that I did not love, so I'm not even going to talk about it because I don't think it's worth it. I also read this month A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I have a dedicated reading vlog to this, but if you don't want to watch it because you haven't read it yet, I gave it 4 stars. I clearly had thoughts and feelings. What do I say? It was way too long. The chapter structure was not my favorite. The formatting was not my favorite. There was definite issues with it. I don't think everything was handled as well as it could be, and I do think it was way wordier than necessary. I gave it 4 stars. I did enjoy it. It was not perfect. If you've already read it and you want to go watch my vlog, go ahead and do that, but it is spoilery, so don't, if you have any interest in reading it and you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch it. The very first thing that I read after finishing my thriller vlog was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, because it has been on my shelf for forever and a day, and I had just finished If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and I was like, you know what, I could do another Shakespearean kind of traveling play group, you know, whatever. I could do this. I could read this. I had no idea what this was about. I listened to the audiobook, and it was so terrifyingly timely. Again, I listened to this the first week of March, and I was on lockdown by the 13th, I think, in my area. So very timely. Pandemic, flu that kind of kills off all of humanity. It was not the right time to read that book at all. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I did. It was a really good book and I really did like it, but Jesus, it was the wrong time. I think I would have enjoyed it so much more if it wasn't so like accurately terrifying. But it was really good. I'm really glad I read it. And what did I give that? So I gave that 5 stars. A Little Life 4, You Let Me In is 4. I'm going to get to that in a second. Oh, I read We Set the Dark on Fire. Taylor May... I can't find it. I put it back on my shelf. I swore I talked about it. And now I can't find the video footage. So I'm just going to talk about it again. But essentially that is a fantasy world where there is a primary wife, a secondary wife. Primary wife is very straightforward and non-emotional and handles things for the husband, and the second wife is very highly emotional and sexual, and she's there for his physical needs. They work together to make sure the husband's life is smooth as can be. But then in this particular novel, the first wife, second wife fall for each other, not so much the husband, and there's a revolution and a lot of political unrest because people are being oppressed. It was not wholly original, but I did like some aspects of it, and I think I gave that 4 stars. It was good. I'm not going to continue with it, but it was fine. And I listened to that one. Then I want to talk about this arc. This is You Let Me In by Camilla Bruce. This one comes out in April. I don't know when in April. Does it say? It just says April. I don't know who hurt Tor. Tor has some of my favorite books, but holy mother, this is the weirdest thing I've ever read. And I know I talked about this, and I'm bummed I lost the clip for it, because You Let Me In is a dark fae psychological fantasy, dark fantasy thriller mystery, murder mystery horror. We have an author who wrote all these like romance novels. She goes missing, she leaves no body, but there's this like haunted past in her family. Her husband was found dismembered, her father and her brother were found in a murder suicide situation, and she's been dealing with this dark fae presence called the Pepperman since she was a child. And there's a lot of family intrigue, lots of content warnings for child abuse and pedophilia, rape, and loss of a child, and just, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's really dark. It's really interesting. It wove together really well. For me, this is kind of my ideal horror thriller because it does have paranormal leanings, but are they paranormal or are they psychological? Like, it has that whole kind of vibe to it. And I ended up being so angry at this book. Like, I had to put it down at certain points just because the content was so, like, upsetting, but also, like, so well done. There was a lot, my buddy read this with Amber, and there was a lot of, like, am I taking from this what I'm supposed to be taking from this? Like, is this really happening kind of situations? And I really, really liked it. So this one, again, it comes out in April. If you are interested in psychological thrillers with, like, dark fantasy aspects, and it was really cool. It was really different. I don't think I've seen anything like this before. I 4-starred it because it wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed the reading process. So another really good one. And then I think we're up to date because I did cover all of the Dawn Kurdagich that I read in a different clip that I better still have. So I filmed this a couple times, but that's my update for March. So I read 13 books. 3 that were from the reading vlog, 10 since then. I'm in the middle of a couple different books right now, but I have not made significant progress. I'm in the middle of The Haunting of Hill House, about halfway through that. And then I'm also reading The Child Thief by Bram, which I'm here on. It's legit. There's a lot going in on this, but I'm also doing a whole bunch of other work on, like, my books and stuff, so I don't know if I'm going to finish this one. And I do think I'm going to do a buddy read of the Library of the Unwritten this weekend. It's kind of what I've read so far outside of, like, my reading vlog, with the exception of also We Set the Dark on Fire, which I don't know where that is. So there's that. So that's my update for March. Hi babes, it is me back with a wrap-up update for March. No. Yeah, it's still March. Jesus, Julie. I read 3 books in 2 days. I read the backlist of Dawn Kurdagich. First up, I read The Dead House. Yeah, The Dead House by Dawn Kurdagich. This is a YA paranormal thriller, horror, psychological thriller. I will say, she has for sure taken a lot of liberties, especially with And All the Trees Crept In. Definitely has a lot of Mark Z. Danielewski, House of Leaves vibes. I said that about Teeth in the Mist. I said Teeth in the Mist was like House of Leaves meets The Exorcist. And then this one is very much like a House of Leaves-y YA scary house in the middle of the woods, and the woods keep creeping closer, and there's this creeper man who is super tall and like really scary that is invisible to everybody but the youngest sibling that like play down in the basement, and this house is super decrepit and everybody that's in it just starts to like decline mentally into like crazy paranoia. Very House of Leaves-y. I will say I didn't love the end of this one. I gave it 4 stars, but in general, like, I really enjoyed the reading process. I have a whole bunch of tabs. Is there triggers in this? Yeah. There's content warnings for a lot of body gore, losing teeth. If losing teeth is a thing that you don't like, this is not going to be for you. Again, I've seen it in a lot of her books. There's like an eating disorder, very, very thin characters where like food does not sit well in their stomach. The character in this like really can't eat. She just keeps getting sick to her stomach, so she loses all this weight, her hair falls out, her teeth fall out. It's very disconcerting. There are also suicidal thoughts, and like just, it's violent. There's a lot of just like horror-ish elements to it. Really cool though. I really liked it, and the vibe was super eerie and really spooky, and I ended up like, I mean, it creeped me out, but I read that in a day, and then The Dead House I read first, also 4-starred. This one is about a girl who has suspected DID, dissociative identity disorder, where there's 2 different personalities, Caitlin and Katie. They never meet one another. One is the daytime personality, one is the nighttime personality, and there's a lot of mixed media in this. This is told through journal entries that are found after an event. We know that like a fire has killed a whole bunch of students. So you follow the journal, you follow a friend's video journal, you follow police investigations, and also notes from her psychiatrist. And so it's very cool. Again, another very, very heavy psychological thriller with paranormal aspects. Again, we have eating disorders. We have a lot of self-harm, like cutting, body gore type of situations, murder, blood and gutsy kind of things. But really cool read, and one that does definitely get into your head. The mixed media, there's mixed media in both of these, like all of her books so far, Teeth in the Mist, this one, and then The Trees Crept In, all have mixed media, and the mixed media in this one really works. Like, it's really creepy. You get these like really staticky pictures and like stills from video footage. It's really neat. After this one, I did read a novella that comes after this called the Nadia tapes, which is the best friend's video footage. So we get a little like 119-page novella of the best friend. I don't think that one's as necessary. It really didn't add very much to the story at all. It was fine. I think I gave it 3 stars, but the rest of these are all 4-star books. I think I gave Teeth in the Mist 4 stars too. There's just something a little bit off about each of them. I don't know. I'm really intrigued by Dawn's story. I did watch some interviews and some discussions with her. You can tell she's definitely influenced by certain writers. None of these is a direct ripoff of like House of Leaves, but there's definitely the vibe and the anxiety and the mixed media. The way that her words kind of like trickle on pages is very reminiscent of his style from House of Leaves. So if you're interested in that kind of format, but you don't want to dive into House of Leaves, this is a great stepping stone. I will say she kind of nails the vibe and the anxiety and the increased tension in a story. She uses mixed media very smartly. I think at this point she's an auto-buy author, but there's definitely decisions that she makes as a writer that I'm like, why did you go there with it? You know, like there's always something just a smidge off about her stories. In general, the reading experience and the talent that it takes to put together the story is like superb. I really, really love them. So there's that. I read The Dead House and The Trees Crept In and the Nadia, I kept calling her Nadia. It's not Nadia because it's spelled differently than that. The novella. I read all 3 of them in 2 days. But that's my reading update for right now. And I'll keep you guys posted if I finish anything else. I better finish something else, but I'll keep you posted. My reading has just sucked, but I did finish The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I have a couple tabs. I did not like this. I think I gave it 2 stars. Did I give it 2 stars or 3 stars? I don't even remember, but I will pull up my spreadsheet because it wasn't great. Essentially, it's about a guy who rents out a haunted house, wants to do a study there because he's super into haunted houses. He gets a couple people to come in and join him. The way the characters talk to each other, relate to one another, I don't get it. The way that they kind of just continue to like tolerate the craziness in the house, it didn't make any sense to me. And while I did really enjoy like some of the spookier aspects, like some of the actual like haunting events that took place were really creepy and really cool, in general, not my thing. I did not, 10 out of 10, did not enjoy this reading experience. I wasn't even like horrified. A lot of people say it's like super, super scary or it's the basis for a lot of horror now. And I can see that, the way that this kind of describes a creepy house, right? And the architecture of a creepy house and the way that hauntings take place. I'm not a horror reader, so I don't know if this is like the first of its kind. If it is, kudos, but like reading it now, not a super fan. So 2 stars. I probably won't keep this. I didn't annotate it. I just put tabs in it. I'll probably pass this on to somebody who's like a horror fan or a horror collector. I know this is like a really cool edition, but it wasn't for me. So that's it. Will I finish something else in the month? Maybe not. Today's the 30th and I'm in the middle of a couple things, but I really truly don't know if I'm going to finish anything. If it is, and that is it, then I've read 14 books this month. A lot for my reading vlog for my arcs. A Little Life took up a whole bunch of time. It wasn't the worst month ever. it wasn't fantastic. I will say, A Little Life, standout, loved buddy reading with you guys. Dawn Kurtagich really stood out to me this month as well. Really had a lot of fun reading her books. And then You Let Me In. I think You Let Me In and Station 11 were kind of standouts as well. I don't know that they're going to be like top 10 favorites of the year. You Let Me In might be. I mean, I know I said I gave it 4 stars, but it was really cool, guys. So that's going to be it. If you like this one, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye, guys.